guys, I just wanted to actually walk you through how to read a chart. And I'm going to start out using the software that I use called SolarFire. And then I'll show you a website where you can go and calculate a chart to do this yourself at home for free. So I have transits up right here for right now, but I'm going to actually open my own chart. And a lot of astrologers would hesitate from putting your personal chart up on the internet because everything of your whole life is really accessible with that information, but I don't care that much, and I want to show you guys how to read a chart, and I'm willing to sacrifice my own to the public. So this is SolarFire. It's a couple $100 to get a copy of this. But it's the best thing out there. It's called SolarFire Gold. I don't know what the latest version is. It's like 7 or 8 or 9. I have version 7. You don't really always need to upgrade. So, okay, so we're gonna look at my chart. So this software calculates out the latitude and longitude for you based on the city it has a database, and most websites will do that for you as well. Some software doesn't have a database with cities and latitude and longitude, so you have to look that up manually and on Google. Okay, so here's my chart. Danny Pugh, August 21, 1988, 2:36 p.m. It's born in the summer, so it's Pacific Daylight Time in San Francisco. Here are the coordinates of San Francisco. Geocentric means that it's Earth-centric, which is the way all astrology is read, as opposed to what would be like solar-centric, which is actually how our solar system is. All the planets rotate around the sun, but astrology is studied as if all the planets rotated around the Earth, which is also in a way true from our vantage point. Tropical is how the chart is calibrated. It's calibrated by the tropics, which means that 0 degrees Aries, which is the start of the zodiac, is always on the spring equinox, which is right now about March 21st, but that's how the chart's calibrated. And then Placidus is a house system. True Node is another item we're not going to dive into. So, okay, here's my chart. I have also chosen all these fun colors. So if you buy SolarFire, it won't be like this out of the box. There's like a fun chart editor, and being a designer, I couldn't help but make this more fun and colorful. So, okay, so I wish I could sort of simplify this, but I'm not going to. Okay, so in Hellenistic astrology, what we care about is the rising sign and the planet that owns that. So the first thing that you want to look at in a chart, and the main thing that really matters, is the rising here, okay? So my chart, have I explained before? Okay, so let me explain a little bit more about what's going on here. So there are a couple different matrices that are kind of layered together in a chart. There is the celestial layer. Now these are all the constellations. Then there is the planetary layer, where the planets are. And then there is the terrestrial layer, which are the houses. So these are always the houses. This is always the first house, this is always the second house, this is always the third, starting from this arrow. Now as the day goes on, the constellations rise in a clockwise direction. So they spend in about 2.5 hours in a sign. So this is Sagittarius. It'll take about 2.5 hours for the entire constellation of Sagittarius to rise from start to finish. And then it will go into Capricorn. So this wheel is moving up. Simultaneously, planets are moving through the zodiac in a counterclockwise direction. So the moon, the fastest moving point, is spending about 1.5 days in a sign. So as the day is moving on this way, the moon and other planets are moving this way. And depending on what time of day and where the planets are, all the planets are going to fall into houses. And each house has a terrestrial meaning. So the first house is about self. It's about who you are. We're going to talk about natal charts today, primarily. So the first house is about you, although this can be applied to horary as well. So the first house is the house of self. So in Western astrology, we mostly talk about the sun is this. The sun sign is who you are, and this is the sun here in Leo. So Western astrologers would say you're a Leo, period. You're this way, period. But that just really doesn't tell the whole story. It's just not accurate. It's not what the Greeks did, or the Babylonians, or the Greeks, or the Egyptian astrologers. So Hellenistic astrologers looked at the sign, or the house that you were interested about. And in a birth chart, the first chart is the house of self. So if you want to know about yourself, then you look at the moment you were born and you look at the first house, because that's going to tell you what you're like. So I have Sagittarius rising. And some people would say, okay, so you're a Sagittarius person. In a lot of ways, okay, maybe. But the signs are like lands. They're not actually... It's like saying... it would be like saying, oh, I'm red. Or I'm blue. The signs are adjectives. They're qualities. And they are sort of meaningless on their own. The planets are actually what have personality and the ability to take action. The signs just are descriptors. So right off the bat, Sagittarius by itself, okay, all we know about that is that it's owned by Jupiter. So every planet owns one or two signs. The moon and the sun own one sign. The rest of the planets own two signs, one a masculine and one a feminine sign. So Jupiter owns Pisces and Sagittarius. So first thing, I look at a chart, I want to know the rising, I want to know what the rising sign is and where that planet is that owns that. So you can think of the signs as lands or kingdoms of planets. Sagittarius is one of the kingdoms of Jupiter. So right off the bat, the first thing I would look at this chart, if I was reading this chart for somebody, is, okay, this is a Jupiterian person. Why? Again, Sagittarius rising, it's the kingdom of Jupiter. Right off the bat, this is a Jupiterian person. That's all I can say about them before looking any further. We don't say this is a Sagittarius person, we say this is a Jupiterian person. So what is Jupiter like? So Sagittarius by itself doesn't have personality traits. It has qualities. It's hot. It's, I can pull up the sheet here actually. So this is my book I'm working on. It's just like a little kind of workbook for my classes. Tiger Fire Astrology is the name of my website if you didn't know that already. And I'm a Hellenistic astrologer. So, okay, this is super helpful. This shows you all of the planet, or all of the signs, and then the planets and which sign which lands they own, which they correspond to. So we get Jupiter owning Sagittarius and Pisces right here. Got all the planets right there. Okay, so Sagittarius on its own, this is what Sagittarius represents. It's masculine, hot, dry, fiery, represents large animals, stables, high places, hips and thighs. That's for medical astrology as well as horary astrology, which is predictive. But by itself in a natal chart, all that Sagittarius tells me is that it's a masculine quality, action-oriented and assertive. It's hot and dry and fiery. So if I'm talking about someone's personality here, it's meaningless to say, oh, there's a hot, dry, fiery quality. I mean, that's not inaccurate about me at all, but it's just not really a lot of information there. So I'm just trying to illustrate to you that the signs themselves don't have the personality that you've been taught to think that they do based on Western astrology. The planets have the personality traits, and what sign they are in is going to modify that. So Jupiter loves its kingdoms. Every planet loves their kingdoms. They want to be home. We all want to be home in our kingdoms, right? So there are certain, basically, if that planet is in one of its kingdoms, it's super happy. If Jupiter is in Sagittarius or Pisces, it's extremely happy, extremely content, very comfortable, able to really give its gifts to you. So every planet, again, is going to want to give you something, take something away, or do nothing. Jupiter is a giving planet. It wants to give to you. It's like the Santa Claus of the zodiac. However, in my chart, Jupiter is in the opposite of its kingdom in Gemini. So if a planet is in the opposite of one of its own sign, it's called to be in detriment because it's extremely uncomfortable. So, and every sign, every planet you can explain a little bit of a story why. So Jupiter and Mercury are a little bit at odds with one another. Jupiter is a big picture oriented person, wants to give you all that you desire. It wants you to adventure, wants you to explore, wants you to not sweat the small stuff. And Mercury is a detail-oriented person. They're like tunnel vision, microscopic vision, trying to really figure out the details of what are going on, really trying to organize things, micromanaging. And so they're not comfortable with each other because they don't let each other do what you want to do. For example, putting Jupiter in Gemini would be a lot like taking a really adventurous kind of hippie personality and putting them in a house with like an OCD clean freak who wants to plan out every moment of the entire day. Now Jupiter is just going to freak out. It's just not comfortable. And the thing is, every planet will acclimate to the sign that it's in. So Jupiter will eventually kind of realize that it just, in order to move through life, it has to follow these rules that it doesn't really like, which involve, being detail-oriented and organized, when Jupiter just wants to go travel the world and be a bum, sort of. So right off the bat, we have like a very, very beautiful, clear picture of, who I am as a person. I'm a Jupiterian person who's in detriment, meaning I'm a spiritual person wanting to expand and wanting to adventure, and I often fall into the trap of putting myself with a lot of responsibilities and being really detail oriented with things that in a way that I'm not excited about. So that's just sort of what happens. And then on the flip side, I just become really good at balancing that act. I sort of am able to maintain two different lives in a way, a really organized life and a really adventurous life, and they sort of have to coexist side by side because they just don't work very well together all the time. So we've only talked about one thing. We've only talked about one of these points. We've just talked about Jupiter and Gemini, and that's already like 80% of what you need to know about me or what you need to know about anybody in their chart. And I've just talked about, just that one point for quite a while. So I'm just trying to illustrate that you don't have to go that deep to figure out what's going on with the person, but you can get a lot more information than just their sun sign. I mean, that story of how I function as a Jupiterian person in detriment explains so much more about me than just saying, what the textbook Leo thing would say, which is like, I like having a lot of attention and I'm a performer and I'm a happy-go-lucky person. I mean, that's all like, there's some truth to that, but that doesn't tell you anything about me, about who I am, what I struggle with, what I fight for, what my greatest strengths are, which are adventuring and organizing. My greatest strengths, and they're at odds with one another. So that's just all you really need to know. And then after that, we start to dive into what is basically going a little bit deeper. So we use the terrestrial houses to get more information. For example, we can look, the 7th house is the house of partnership. So we'll do the same thing here. And you can also see my Jupiter, my personal planet of the 1st house is right on the 7th house cusp, which means I'm extremely interested in relationships and partnerships. And if any of you know me, you know how much time I spend developing my friendships, and those are extremely important to me, all my relationships in my life. So that also shows that emphasis and interest here, because Jupiter is leaving its comfort zone to go and deal with other people. So 7th house cusp will tell me what kind of partner I will have. It's not what kind of partner I attract necessarily. It's not what kind of partner I want or need. It is the partner that I will have. And so it's in Gemini. What does that mean? So we'll go back to this chart here. What sign what you want to know what planet owns Gemini. So here's Gemini. It's owned by Mercury. So what do we want to do? We want to ask, where's Mercury? So, and Mercury will tell us what kind of partner I'll have. And also, Mercury also owns, in my chart, Mercury also owns Virgo. And in my chart, the 10th house of career is on Virgo. So that means my partner is going to be related to my business and my career. I'm sort of destined to have a partner who's also a business partner. And Mercury is in Virgo. So remember how I was saying how every planet wants to be in its own kingdom? Well, Mercury in Virgo is in its own kingdom. It's extremely comfortable. And as the planet of the messenger of the gods, that means that I am given a lot of gift from Mercury, which is the ability to learn and overcome obstacles using intellect. So again, if you know me very well, you know I like to talk a lot. You know I like to learn a lot, and I'm a fast learner. So that's shown by this, and it also shows that in business I am able to take that clever, organized quality with me, and my partner will really embody the qualities of Mercury and Virgo. So somebody who's very intelligent, very clever, and very resourceful. So on its own, you can't just, what Western astrologers do, they'll go through each of these planets and just talk about them as if they were in a vacuum. Like, okay, your sun's in Leo, so you're really an attention hog. And okay, your Mercury is in Virgo, so you're really smart. And your Venus is in Cancer, so you're really gentle and you're nurturing. I mean, yeah, you could go around and do this all day, but it's kind of talking about things really out of context. The way that we are supposed to read a chart is that that planet only is activated for the house that it's ruling. So Jupiter represents me. Mercury represents my partner, my career. I want to make sure you guys know that you can generate a chart like this for free. This is actually the same company that produces Solar Fire. They have a website where you can, version 9. So Solar Fire version 9 is the latest. And I run Solar Fire actually on my Mac in a virtual PC software called Parallels. It's kind of frustrating to set up, but there isn't a lot of good astrology software out there for Mac. There just really isn't that does all the crazy stuff that Solar Fire does, and I can show you some of the other stuff it does. I can change this to a horary chart. So okay, yeah, any sign that's any planet that is more than 23 degrees 28 minutes of declination, which is the declination of the sun, is out of bounds. So my moon's out of bounds. You can see all this other helpful information. You can see the mutual receptions. That means planets that are in each other's kingdoms, so they're visiting each other, so there's some assistance there. Fixed stars, my sun's on the fixed star Regulus, which is the heart of the lion. You can look here for your guardian angel planet more easily. My guardian angel planet is Mercury. It's kind of like blackjack. The planet that's closest to 24.5 degrees without going over is your guardian angel, so mine's Mercury. The moon is fast. It means it's moving faster than its average speed. When I was born, so that means my the quality of the moon will be exaggerated. So this is all super helpful stuff, and you can calculate just so much stuff, harmonics, everything, and I just haven't found any other software that can do that. The other software that's amazing is called Delphic Oracle, and that lets you calculate Time Lords, which is an amazing system. It was really critical to Hellenistic astrology and just has completely gotten lost in modern astrology. So I am able to calculate those more easily with Delphic Oracle, because otherwise it takes a long time to calculate by hand. And I can do it, it's just not fun. It's not fun at all. Okay, so if you go to, I don't know how you pronounce this, alabe.com. That's the company that makes solar fire, Astrolabe, which is basically this dial, this sort of ancient dial. Okay, so let's show you. So, okay, Dan and Pugh, August 21st, 1988, 2:36 p.m. in San Francisco. So this website's also gonna look up the latitude and longitude for you. Click submit. Okay, and then the only thing I have to tell you is just, please don't read this. I'm sort of embarrassed that the software I use just spits out all of these, the company that makes this astrology software that I use spits out all of this stuff that I like to poke fun at. Like, okay, you're a show off because you're a Levo, okay, and Moon and Sag, you're an idealist, blah, blah, blah. I just think it's bogus. So just ignore that. And you can see too that they calculate Uranus and Neptune and Pluto, and we don't look at those as much in Hellenistic astrology because those are called generational influencers. Those planets move very slowly, and unless you're a generational influencer, then those planets aren't active for you. So if you're a celebrity, basically you get those planets, otherwise not so much. Unless there's a conjunction, like I have my Uranus on Saturn, so I should probably look at that more than I do. All right, so here you get the same information. You see the Sag rising, and you get Jupiter over here, and Gemini in detriment, and then basically everything else is there. So you can save this on a computer. It doesn't look as pretty, but you can get the same information. So I wanted to show you that. Again, I have a couple ways that you can follow me, and I hope that you do. You can go to youtube.com and search for Tiger Fire Astrology. And here I am, and I post fun videos, also like my little vlogs I do, and sometimes I post spiritual homework assignments, post my Burning Man trip video, and here I have all my astrology videos. So take a look there. If you ever feel bored, you want to learn more, this videos will be posted here as well. And check my website. I have all my videos on here, and I also have lessons that walk you through all of this basic stuff. I mean, this information is really valuable. It's not published like this in such an easy to understand way anywhere else. That's why I've organized it all here. Let me know. Please subscribe to my channel. Please follow me on Twitter, and let me know if you have any questions. I do readings. And I do teach classes. So if you live anywhere near the Los Angeles area, I do teach classes. You can find me at meetup.com. So come to my classes, go to my website, watch my videos. Astrology is really important. It's a tool that almost every ancient culture has developed and used to further understand themselves and avoid problems and things in their life that they could see were coming, and it's just a really effective way to understand what is going on in the world, and I'm really passionate about it, and I'm also really passionate about educating people that astrology is actually amazing. It's not all this bogus stuff that Western astrologers sometimes make it seem like, these horoscopes in the newspaper and that kind of crap. So anyway, I know this was a long video, but I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if you have any other requests or want to learn about anything else. Okie dokie. Thanks. Bye.